Hey, how's it going? Welcome back. So, today we're going to talk about Bloodthirst, which I wasn't really sure if it really fit, but since we did Sinister Invasion and those other Mexican movies made in 1968 that came out in 71, we'll do this one too. This one came out in theaters in 1971. Here's the theatrical poster. It came out as a double feature with Bloodsuckers, also known as Incense for the Damned, which we talked about. But actually, when I started watching Bloodthirst, I realized, or not realized, but I felt that it didn't feel like a 1971 film. It felt like an early 60s film. And you can sort of tell from the music here that it's not exactly a 70s vibe. So I looked it up, of course, and as it turns out, it was made in 1965. It was made in black and white, which in 1970, there was only one black and white movie that we talked about, and that was Multiple Maniacs, which had a budget of like a few $100s. So for it to be black and white is very odd to come out in 1970. And so what happened was it was made on an ultra low budget in the Philippines, in black and white, and in 1965, even then, no one really wanted to see or pay for a black and white movie with no known actors. So it was shelved for 6 years and came out on this double feature. Chevron Pictures put this out. It's the only two horror films that Chevron ever put out, and Incense for the Damned was actually a British film anyway. So it's one foreign film and another totally obscure film, and that's all that Chevron ever really did as far as horror goes. So that all said, the movie's not bad. I give it a 6 out of 10. It was directed by Newt Arnold, who had previously done this movie, Hands of a Stranger, which is an adaptation of the French story, The Hands of Orlac. It's about a man who loses, or I should say a piano player, and yes, more piano horror, a piano player who loses his hands in an accident and gets new hands surgically transplanted onto his body. I had seen the 1960 French-British version with Christopher Lee, and in that version, it's the hands of a strangler. But this is hands of a stranger, and actually in this version, we never find out whose hands they are. We just know that the person who had previously owned the hands was gunned down, but we don't know why. Newt Arnold did this. This was his first movie that he ever directed. It was done in 1960 and didn't come out until 1962. Then he did this one in 65, and it didn't come out until 71. Newt Arnold later is actually more known for being an assistant director. He was later an assistant director on Godfather Part 2 and The Goonies, and a whole bunch of other movies. Blade Runner, he was assistant director on Blade Runner. So Bloodthirst is actually like a detective movie. It takes place in the Philippines. Although I said there were no known actors. I think his name is Vic Diaz, plays a Filipino detective. He was also in Beast of the Yellow Night, which we talked about. He played the devil type character who keeps reincarnating John Ashley in Beast of the Yellow Night. So he's here, and then there's all these killings where people are being drained of their blood. It basically looks like vampire attacks, and he calls his friend who is American, and the American guy comes over and tries to solve the problem. And basically, it's just a mystery detective movie. And it turns out that this crazy looking guy, let's see if we can expand that. Maybe not. There. this guy with the weird deformed head is killing people and using that knife there to drain their blood, and then he gives the blood to this woman over here, and she is using the blood in some kind of magic spell to keep her eternally youthful. Very much like Countess Dracula, which we also talked about, which came out in 1971, although of course this was made actually 6 years earlier. So the woman is using the blood of young women to keep her young. Vinegar Syndrome, I think, restored this movie, so you can watch it in full HD on Tubi for free. It's on Tubi. I also actually bought the DVD because I found it for $2 in a store in Pittsburgh. So you can see that there. The quality of this DVD is absolutely horrible. It's unwatchable. It's so bad. You can just watch it in HD for free on Tubi. This DVD was only, I think it was like $4, and it also comes with Castle of Blood with Barbara Steele. So like, it's fine, you know, it was only $4. I didn't watch Castle of Blood yet, but I imagine the quality is similar. So overall, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. It actually, in the beautiful HD, you can see that this deformed guy is just wearing a cheap mask. I mean, it looks kind of cool. It probably actually looked better, like, not in HD. But the acting was good. The story was decent. And I would say the worst part about it would be the effects are really bad. They're basically non-existent, and there's a couple of fight scenes, and the fights look horrible. So that's why it only gets a 6 out of 10. But overall, it was worth a watch. The music was okay. Honestly, it seems almost like a late 50s monster movie with like a rubber suit or like a rubber mask, and like the music sounds like it's from the 50s, and everyone's wearing suits and stuff, which in the 50s and earlier, it seemed like adult men were always wearing suits all the time, or like button-down shirts with ties. It seems like the more casual dress started in the 60s. This is coming from someone born in the 80s. So, but through movies, it seems that everyone was always wearing formal attire through the 50s. And once we hit the 60s, people are wearing t-shirts and jeans and stuff, but in this movie, everyone is dressed in formal attire. So it really feels like a 50s movie, made in 65, put out in 71. I can imagine it wasn't very popular because it was way, way dated by the time it came out. But not a bad movie. Bloodthirst, 6 out of 10. We'll see you next time.